Hi, I'm Alex, and today I'll be building a model-driven application that we can use as a complaints tracker. It's a complete Power Platform project that uses Power Automate to create the tasks, Power Pages as a customer portal, Power BI for the dashboard, and it integrates Copilot so that the users can ask natural language questions of the data. The purpose of the video is to show how seamlessly these products work together and to do a bit of a speed run to see how quickly we can get this application built. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that we want to do is create a new solution so that everything that we use is packaged up in one place so that it's easy to export once we've built it. We'll call that complaints tracker and select a publisher. And once the solution's created, we want to start creating some tables so that we can store the data. So we'll go to New Table and select Tables. And this is a new screen that makes it very easy to visualize table relationships when you start building. So you just go to New Table and Add Columns and Data. Give your table a name. This is going to be our main table, so it will be complaints. And the primary column we want to have as an auto number, so the ticket number for the complaint. Unfortunately, on this screen, you can't change it to auto number. I'm sure that will be a feature that's added shortly. But what we want to do on this screen is just add the basic table and visualize the relationship. So we'll add that primary column and we'll just add a basic one line of text column there for the subject of the complaint. And we'll add another table and we'll call this one complaint task. And same again, we want to give the primary column as a number and we'll change that to auto number soon. And a new column for the subject. Now, importantly, within Power Platform, the relationships are created using lookup tables, and we want the complaint tasks to relate to the complaints. So the next column we want to add is complaint number, and we'll choose lookup, and the related table is complaints. We'll save that. And as you can see, that one-to-many relationship has been created for us. Now I'll save and exit. Now we need to edit the tables, and the first table that we'll edit is complaints. And now when we come to this screen, we'll leave that because that's the unique identifier. The number, we want to edit that column and we want to change it to auto number. We also want to change business required to optional, as it doesn't work correctly if we leave it as business required, because in some forms it'll request that the number is added before we can save it. So we need that optional, and we can change the prefix to custom, and as we want to identify them as complaints, we'll just add a prefix there. I think 4 numbers is fine, as we don't expect that many complaints, and we'll start the seed value at 1 so that we get a nice number format. Save that there. And now we just want to add a few more columns that we'll use. So description, and we'll want to give the user a bit more space to play with there. So multiple lines of text. Save that. And now we want to add a choice column for the type of complaint that's being logged. Select choice there. And you'll want to add a global choice so that you can use this across any tables that you create in the future. We'll call it complaint type, and we'll add a few things. So cost, product, service. Now I've already saved complaint type, so I won't be able to do that. But if I go back, I will be able to choose that. And we don't want a default choice there, and save. We want the customer's name. And the email. Oh, let's edit that. Right, go back into email. We can change the format to email there. And the customer's phone number. Again, we can change that to phone number. The company. And to use on our forms and in our business processes later, we'll need a column that is discussed with customer, and we'll give the option of yes, no, with the default choice being no. And have the tasks being completed. Another yes, no there. Now we also want to edit our status reasons so that they align with any business process that we've got configured. And we can get the status reason. We don't want to change the status. We've got active and inactive, and that's fine. In status reason, we want to change the basic reasons that we've got here to align with the process that I'm going to configure later. And that will be, the first step will be to assess the complaint. Then it'll be if it's in progress, and then discuss with customer. We also want to change the colors here. Now, I recommend that you choose pastel colors. I've already got some hex here to help. Choose pastel colors because you'll have this displayed on the views, and you'll want to be able to see the text behind. So we want the assess to be red because action is needed straight away. In progress, we've got a yellow there, and discuss with customer is the next step, so it's orange. And on the inactive side, we want to show that the ticket has been resolved. And the color that we want to use there is a nice green to say that's been done. So we'll save that. And before we move on to the complaints tasks, we just want to check the properties of the table here, because we're going to enable a couple of things that will allow Copilot to work. And all we need to do, we go into the settings, into the properties. We want to enable attachments so that a timeline section works where people can add notes and attach files. So we'll enable attachments there. And now to make sure that Copilot works, track changes needs to be selected, which it appears is selected at default now. And we need, for the rows in this table, we need that to appear in search results. And now we'll move on to the complaints tasks. And with Copilot, it really is that simple. You haven't got to configure anything. All you've got to do is select that button so that the data is available to Copilot. Now into complaints tasks. And we will add, well, we'll change the number to auto number, optional, and a custom prefix of task. And again, we'll just leave it at 4 numbers. We need to add the description column with multiple lines of text again. And we can edit the status reason. Again, as you're building this, you can add whatever columns you might need. This is just a quick run through of what we can do. So status reason, edit column, and for the tasks we want new task, in progress, or on hold. And we'll add those colors again. Red for new, yellow for in progress, and we'll add an orange for on hold. And for the inactive, we just want to say that the task is complete, and we'll use the green there. Okay, so that is the tables done, and now we'll move on to creating the forms, which is the main bulk of the model-driven application. It's the views that everyone can see, and you can add the data into. So we'll go back to complaints and forms, and this is our main form that we want to edit. Okay, so what I like to do is move the owner up into the top here, and we'll also want to move the move me there so that I can see. Status reason we want in the top. We want complaint, the number. Where are you? There you are. And the date that it was created on. And now we want the subject to be available. We want the complaint type. Let's just click in this the box here so that we can add the complaint type. And we want to add the description in there as well. Now the description is multiple lines of text, but we want to give the space as well. So over to the side here, we will just want to add 5 rows to the form field height. And now if we go to components, we can add another section and we want this to be a 2-column section, and we'll call this submitted by, and the name below is, if you're going to be using JavaScript, you'll want to keep your names quite identifiable. So we've got submitted by, and then we'll add in, we want the customer's name, and we want their email, their phone, and the company they work for. And because this is 2 columns, we can move this across, company, and then we'll have email and phone number there. Okay, and that is the basis of the form that we need. What I like to do is, in a form like this, is remove the related column. So we'll just hide that there, the related tab. And now we just want to add a couple more tabs. So we'll add a 1-column tab here, and we'll call this timeline. And within the new section, we'll be adding a timeline. Now let's hide the label of the new section, and within the timeline, we can also hide the label as the tab identifies it. We'll add another tab. We'll move that into the middle, as it'll be a bit better there, and we'll say tasks. And within the tasks, we want to add a subgrid. Click this show related records to make it a bit easier. And the table that we need is complaint tasks, and we'll show the active complaint tasks for now. We'll come back and change that to all complaint tasks once we've created that view. So that's done. And again, we'll hide the label, and on the subgrid, we'll also hide the label. Right, so that is our first form completed. And I'll just change the display name of the form to new complaint. All right, save and publish. And go back there. Now we need to create a form that'll be used for the Power Pages, and this will be what the customers can see in the portal. So create a new form, and we'll just have it as a main form. We'll call it Power Pages. And if you want to add a description there, Power Pages complaint form. Now, because we've created that main form previously, it brings through everything that we've done there. So we can easily, we want this form as it is for the customer, but what we want to do is hide the other tabs. So let's just hide and hide. And on the Power Pages portal, we won't see everything that's in the top here. So we can just save and publish there. Lastly, we'll edit the quick view form. And we'll just give it a bit more detail here. So we've got the complaint type, the subject, and the company. Save and publish. And that's all of the forms that we need to edit for the complaints. So let's go to the complaint tasks now. And we'll go into the main form, change the name here, new complaint task. And we have got the general details here. Let's remove the related again. And on the first section, we want to add a component. So let's add a one column section here, move it to the top. And from within the complaint task, we want to view the complaint details. So what we need to do there is add a quick view form. And we've just edited this, so we've got this information. So we want the lookup by complaint number, and then in complaints, we've got the number from the complaint, we've got the owner, we've got complaint type, subject, and company. And now we need the task details, so we can pop all this towards the top. So owner, and then status reason. So let's come back here, status reason in the top, created on, and we can put that that number. Seeing that, there it is, number. And all we need in the bottom is subject and description. And let's give this a title. So we've got task details. Unhide that label. And in the top section, we'll call that complaint details. And we want to add another tab for the timeline. All right, and let's just add a timeline there. Right, so we forgot to add one of the properties on the table, so I'll go and edit that in a second. Hide the label there, and we'll save and publish that. This is because we didn't tick that box in the table that allows for attachments, so you get this error message. But that is the form created. We'll go back to the table. And go to properties, enable attachments, and while we're here, we'll add the Copilot information. Next, onto views, and we'll go back to the complaints table, and we'll start editing the views. And this is just the primary layout of the complaints that the users will see. So we want to see active complaints, so we'll edit that one. And you can see we've got just basic columns here, but we want to change that. So let's remove the created on. Actually, we will need that. And we'll put in status reason, created on. Just move those across. We'll have subject, complaint type, and the name of the customer, the company, and who is the owner of the complaint. And it is already sorted by number and the filter is active. So let's save and publish. In this view, we need to add a component in order to show the tasks underneath and to add the colors on the initial view. We want to add the component, get more components, and you want this powerapps grid control here. So add that, click on it, and then we've got some options here. So we want the child item to be the related table. And first of all, we should go back and create the all complaint tasks. So we'll add that for now. We'll add complaints, the active complaint tasks, and then down here, we've got an option for colors that we need to set to yes. And we'll save that. Let's just go back to create in the complaints tasks. Right, we'll create a view in there, and we'll create a new view, and it'll just be all complaints. And in here, we just want the number. We don't need the complaint number because it's nested underneath. We'll have the status reason modified on rather than created on, so that we can see that activity is taking place. Subject and owner, and save and publish there. Now that we have that view of all complaints tasks, we can go back to the complaints table, edit the form so that we can look at the subgrid in there. In the tasks, and we want to change the view to all complaint tasks. Save and publish. And we want to go to the views as well in the active complaints. Let's go back to that component view in powerapps grid control and just change that to all complaint tasks. Done, save and publish. We also want to change the quick find view for the complaints table. So the quick find view here, let's edit that, and this will allow Copilot to use the data. So in your quick find view, you can add a few columns if you want. So status reason, company, whatever would be important when you're searching this, and the name and the owner. But the important aspect of this for Copilot is this find by. So at the moment, it's got find by number. That would only allow Copilot to give you answers on number searches. What we need to do is just add anything that's important to your data. So we want pretty much all of these columns added, name, number, owner. We don't really need to search phone numbers, status, reason, subject, and if the tasks are completed. So apply there, save and publish. And that is pretty much Copilot set up, ready to work when we've got the application built. So the next step will be creating the business process flows. Next, we want to create the business process flow. And to do that, we go to new, automation, process, business process flow. And we'll call this complaints process. And select the main complaints table. And this will take us to a classic page where we can visualize the business process flow and start creating the steps from here. So we want to add 3 stages. We're just going to keep it very simple here. So let's add another component there, 3-stage. And of course, the business process flows can be as complex as you want. You can add if statements, different workflows, different cloud flows, anything that you need. So the complaints, the first stage that we want is assess, and you can choose a different category here, but it's not essential. Make sure you press apply after every change that you do to a business process flow. The next stage would be to complete tasks, apply, and discuss with customer. Okay, so in the first step, we want to add a data step. You can add as many as you want, but we just need the one. So a new step would be, we want the team that are looking at the complaints to decide on an owner, and that is required at the change, because the customers will be logging this through a portal, so it'll come through as the owner being the portal. So we want to change that in order to get through to the next step. So we'll have that as required and apply. And the data step in complete tasks would be for the tasks completed to be confirmed as yes. So currently that's a yes, no, with the default as no. So we've got tasks completed there. And for the last step, has this been discussed with the customer? And part of the business process flows, we want the status of the call to change as the process flows are confirmed. So let's add a component here, a workflow, and we'll add that underneath triggered processes. And we want a new workflow, and we'll just call this assess. A new blank process, and I am always in the way. There we go. New blank process. We get this screen here where we can choose a few options. Main thing that we want to select is as an on-demand process. It won't work without it. So as on-demand process, and then add step. There we go. Change status. And we want to change the complaints to in progress, and just activate that. And now we can close that screen. So back in the selection, we want the trigger to be on the stage exit of the business process flow. So stage exit there. And if we press the magnifying glass here, we can find what we've just done. So assess, press apply, and you have your workflow. So we just need to do that for the next stages. So triggered process here, we'll add a workflow. Complete tasks, blank process, okay. As an on-demand, we want to change the status to discuss with customer. Activate. Oh, we should add a step title here, but again, it's not massively important. So change status there, activate. And close. Again, stage exit, complete tasks, apply. And for the last trigger, we want the ticket to be set to inactive and resolved after the discussion with the customer has taken place. So we've got the workflow, add new. We'll just call this resolve. As on demand. And change status. And we want that to set to resolve and activate. Stage exit, and then resolve. Right, that is all done. So that's our business process flow set up. What we need to do now is save that. And activate. Okay, so that's the business process flow done. Next step, we want to create a Power Automate flow to start creating these tasks. So let's start over here. So we want a automation, cloud flow, and automated. And we'll call this create complaint tasks. And the trigger that we want is when a row is modified. So search when a row is added or modified. Create that. Right, so the first step we want is when the row is modified. And the table name is complaints. Here we go. The scope is going to be organization. And what we want this flow to do is recognize when the status has been changed. So when it's gone from the assess stage to in progress, we'll need those tasks to be created. So we're looking towards the column called status code. And here we need to add an OData statement that looks towards the status code and looks at what it is. We need to add the number value here. So let's go back from this. Let's just go to another one. And we need to go to our solution, complaints tracker. And we want to check in the tables, we want to go to complaints and check our status reason column to find that number. So status reason, if we edit the column, we can see the number value here. And we need when the change is to in progress. So 121.020.001. So it equals 121, oh, already forgot it, 020.002. Okay, so we'll rename our step here to status changed. Next step is we want to list rows. Now, what we need to be careful of when we're creating tasks depending on a certain change in the status is that the status isn't changed multiple times as it goes back and forth and creates multiple tasks. So we need to look at the task table and make sure that the tasks haven't already been created for that complaint. So we'll call this get existing tasks, and the table we want is the complaint tasks. And we want to look towards the column that is the lookup column for the complaints number. So it's going to be your unique identifier, and it's going to be the complaint number. And just to show you how I found that, if we come back to the table and go to the columns, you can if we look at complaints tasks and then the columns. Complaint number, you can see the name here. So AW underscore complaint number. So that's the one we want. And we need to filter that in an OData statement again. Now, with this, you want the value rather than the GUID that it's got in the background. So to get that, it's underscore and then your column without the capital letters. So complaint number, and make sure you don't write compliant number because that won't work. So complaint number, underscore value, and again equals, and we want to choose from the previous step, we want to choose the unique identifier for entity instances. So we want complaints there, and we also need those on either side. So that is our next step. So we'll save that. Now we need to add a condition which will look towards that table and check if it's empty. So we add a new step here and we want a condition, and we get this if yes, if no. Now this is as much code as we're going to use today. So we want to write an expression and we want to check if it's empty, the outputs of the previous step, which is get existing tasks, and then we've got a question mark and square brackets, body value, And that is our expression. So we'll press OK there, and that'll check if it's empty, and you want that is equal to, and again add an expression and just write true. And we'll rename our condition to create tasks. Now, if yes, we want it to create those 3 tasks. So let's add an action here. And we want to look towards Microsoft Dataverse, and it's going to be add a new row. For this one, it's going to be create task 01. Choose the table of complaints tasks. Show the advanced options there. And we've got all of the necessary columns here. So in the complaint number, because this is a lookup field, we've got to write this in a certain way. So we want the identifier, and you want the number field. Oh no, sorry, you're looking towards the table here. So you want the plural of the table, and we've got complaints there, and we want to add in the number. Sorry, no, it's the unique identifier again. So from the original step, we want complaints again, and close your brackets there. So that's looking towards the table, and the unique identifier, has it got these tasks? So that'll add that into the lookup field, the original complaint number. Then we want the description to be whatever you want the task to be here. So subject's going to be task 01, and it's going to be the initial investigation. So for the description, please investigate the complaint. And that's all you need there for that task. So what we can do is copy that to the clipboard, add an action, go to my clipboard and add the same task again. We want to edit it slightly, so rename, and we've got task 2. We'll leave the lookup again because we want the same number in there, and we want to have this as the root cause. So we want something basic, get to the bottom of this complaint, and add another action. Again, my clipboard, we've still got that there. Create task 3. And we want, for the last step, corrective action, do something about this. Okay, so we've got the 3 tasks there, and that is the flow complete. Now, whenever you create a flow, test it, make sure that you can that it works fully. I've already prepped this beforehand, so fingers crossed that should work. So there's our flow. And the next step is going to be the Power Pages portal. So let's head over to Power Pages. So here we just want to create a new site. So we want to start from blank. and give your site a name. So this will be complaints log, and you need a unique name across all of Power Platform. So you'll want to potentially do your company name hyphen complaints. For this example, we're just going to do just random numbers at the end and see if that works. Yep, so we've got that one. So that is the URL that that the customers are going to need. Move me over. There we go. And this takes just a bit of time to set up, so I'll pause that. Okay, there is your Power Pages initial template. You can edit your company name, add the logo up here, but we just want to get rushing through things. So let's go to adding a form. And you just want to add a new form here, and it'll take you through to the table selection. So we want the complaints table, and there's our Power Pages form that we set up earlier. Now, on submit, we can tell the customer that it's been received. So we've got display a message and thanks for moaning. And then we've got the captcha. We've got obviously leave these in for yours if you're going to make this public. Now we can remove those captures for this test. You can enable attachments there. AI form fill for a complaint. I think we remove that because you don't want things suggested, and we'll press OK there. And there you go. We've got the form created. So that's all in place. So the customer will come along and type in the subject, the cost, the description, and pop in their details and submit it. We need to add some security information for the tables. So on the table permissions, add a new permission there. Add a new permission and we'll call it complaints user. You can select the table. So we've got complaints, global access, and we want them to be able to read it and create so they can log new complaints. And we'll just select anonymous users so that anyone can add the information as long as they've got the portal. Okay, and now if we preview this, well, we'll sync our changes first. And then preview. We'll select the desktop view. Taking a bit of time there. And there we go. So this is the portal that the customers will see. So we'll just add a few tests so that we've got some data to work with when we create our Power BI dashboard. So subject, I'm annoyed. Complaint type, cost, it's expensive. And we'll have this submitted by Serial Whinger Joe Blogs of Blogs International. His email and a phone number. And there's a nice friendly message. And we'll just log 4 more of those. So it's broken. The product, it's broken and doesn't work. There's Joe, there's his company and his email and his number. The service, didn't like the service, I just didn't like it. And here he is. Last one, just so that we've got some decent data. I like complaining, and it will be about the product. I just love complaining. And there we go, Joe blogs, and his number submitted. Okay, so that should give us a bit of decent data to work with, and that is Power Pages done. So really quick to do, really simple and effective. So let's move on to Power BI. So let's close that. And in Power BI, you want to create a workspace that you can use to publish the report. So I've already created complaints log here, but it's very simple to do. You go to workspaces, new workspace, and set it up with the licensing that your users have got assigned. So we've got our workspace and we want to create a new report. And this report is just going to be looking towards Dataverse as its data source. So let's go blank report there. And we want to get the data and go to Dataverse and then select the environment and the tables. Now I'm just going to pause that while I do it so that I don't reveal any sensitive data. Now I've just paused there so that I don't reveal any sensitive data, but you'll get an option once you've selected the table as to whether you want direct query or import. Most likely you'll want direct query as it's within the application, you'll want it to be live data. Import does give you a lot more options when it comes to manipulating the data, but for this we want direct query. And I've only brought through the complaints table. You might want to bring through the complaints tasks as well for reporting. And you'll want to add yourself a dates table for slicing the data that way. But we just want to add a very simple dashboard. So first thing we want to do, let's add a pie chart. And we'll have that as half the screen. And we won't even use DAX in this. We will just, let's go for values. We'll count the numbers. And we want to be able to split that down by, let's say, complaint type in the first instance. And then we can add underneath in the legend the company so that the users can actually view different things with the data. So that's the benefit of having Power BI is it's interactive. And if we were just to add a Power BI dashboard, it's not the best. It kind of clicks through as the only option. But if we add a report, we've got that interactivity and we can add separate pages. We'll call this page active tickets. And we can add a filter on the main page. So for the users, they might want to filter by company. For us, we want the state code, and we only want to view active tickets, but we'll hide that from view. So we've only got active on here. And the next one that we'll add is just a simple bar chart onto the side, and we'll have the count of the numbers, so the count of the complaints, and we'll split that up by status reason so we can see exactly where things are. And we need rather than the status reason in the data, we need the status code name. So put that onto your y-axis, and that's where we are at the moment. So we've got 5 tickets in assess. And we'll just leave it very basic. So let's save that. And let's just call that complaints tracker dashboard. And we'll publish that to the workspace that we created. So complaints log in there. Okay, so now that we've got that published, we can get rid of Power BI Desktop if you want to save it again. And within the workspace, we need to make sure that the credentials have been added in the data source settings. Now, obviously, user service accounts use something that the password doesn't refresh. So we've got the data source credentials, edit the credentials, and just sign into your own account. I'll just pause that. Now that the credentials have been added, we can add the dashboard into the solution. So next step is new dashboard, Power BI embedded, and then we can call it the complaints dashboard. We want a Power BI report. Untick that box to show reports in this environment only, and select the workspace that you created and select your report. Save that, and that is the dashboard in the solution. There we go. So now we need to create the model-driven app. So we'll just call it complaints, track complaints, okay, and create that. First thing we want to add is the BI dashboard. So we'll select Power BI there, and we'll select the one that we've just created. And once that loads, you can see, there we go, we've got the active tickets, and we want to add in the complaints table, so a Dataverse table. And let's find complaints plural. And there we go. That's the complaints that we logged in the portal. And as you can see, because we added the subgrid, we've got a view for tasks underneath. We've got our colors. So that is pretty much the model-driven app built. So now all we want to do is potentially just rename this group to something a bit better. So complaints, and we can save and publish. Right, so from there, let's get the old one out of the way. Let's test it and see what we've done so far. So we'll press play, and we have a live dashboard which the users can interact with. And here we have the complaint screen. Now, I've got a confession to make. I've had to rewind this video because do you remember that Power Automate flow that I was so confident would work first time? It didn't. So I've got a couple of changes that I've got to show you. Obviously, there's the first status code. Now, you probably would have seen this at the beginning of the video. I started with a 2 at the end. It was meant to be a 1. The 2 signified the status discussed with customer. The 1 is the in progress, which we need. And the more complicated problem that I'm quite glad that I've found, we're learning together. When we've got a plural table, I named my table complaints with an S at the end. I don't usually do that. I usually have complaint and then we've got the plural. We just add an S. If your table ends with an S, Microsoft have decreed that you've got to have an ES at the end. So they're correcting our grammar, but that's fine. I've learned for next time. So we've got complaints is the table that we need. That flow is now saved. And within the business process, there was another issue. I specifically said that when we're creating the workflows, that it's not important to name a step. That's incorrect. If you don't put a step name, then it won't work. So I've just found out the hard way. I've gone in and added the name into the process as change status. It now works. So lesson learned, and I won't be so cocky next time. So let's continue with the rest of the demo. We're nearly there. So we have the view and we have the tasks. Now let's show the flow in action now that we've corrected it. So we have the complaint. The overview is available to us. We've got the tasks which are currently empty, and we have the timeline where the users can add any information that they want. So I'll assess this complaint and add the note and close, and that will give you timestamped information so that you can track everything that's been happening with the complaint. Now onto the business process flow. So as you can see, when it's logged through the portal, it will come through as this portal user. We want to change that. So assign the ticket. And when we select next stage, we should be able to see, if we refresh that the status has now changed to in progress. And let's look at the tasks. And we've had the tasks created so that we can assign individual tasks to different people. If you want to assign it to multiple people, you can change the options up here to assign to a different person. And within the tasks, we can see that we have visibility of the complaint and the subject and the description, as well as the timeline for the person completing the task. Giving the visibility of the complaint is great if you have different users with different permissions that just want to be able to see what the complaint was about and not the details that a manager might be inputting. So we have everything that we need there. And let's go. And finally, we have Copilot. And we can ask natural language questions of the data set. So if we say, how many complaints have been logged by the company Blogs International? You have to be very specific with the data as it's only reading columns. So Blogs International has logged 5 complaints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So an easy way of finding answers, quick answers to the data, and as well, you've got your dashboard. So the last thing that we need to do is to share the application. And we need to create a security group so that the users only have access to the specific tables that we need. So I've created a security role, and it's called Complaint Manager. Let's just show you this one. And when you edit it, you want to find the tables that you need. And what I've given is complaints. You just click the boxes and you can just select whether they have it or not. So for the complaints table, they can create, read, write, and append to. And for the tasks, they can read, write, and append, and also assign. They're not able to delete, so we know that those complaints aren't going to get removed. And what we need to do is add that security role to the application as well as the users. So we'll go 3 dots and share. Now, I'm not going to go into that because we'll have a list of users that I don't really want on the video. So make sure that you add to the application as well as to the users. And that is it. That is your model-driven app built with everything included in the Power Platform. And we got that done in around an hour and 10 minutes. So very straightforward to get these products talking, and you can really build something that's very useful in a short amount of time. Obviously, take this as a backbone for your applications. Add as many tables as you want. Add flows to alert people when new complaints have been raised, or send them Teams messages. Expand on your Power BI dashboard, make your Power Pages portal look amazing, and yeah, just get used to using the products and have fun with it. So thank you for listening, and I hope this has been informative for everyone. I'll be using this platform to put a lot of data videos out there. So Microsoft Fabric, Power Platform, anything that I think you guys will be interested in. And I'm hoping that I'll be producing some shorter videos next time, as this was a bit of a slog. So great. I hope this has been useful, and thank you for your time.